Hello and welcome to another episode of the Verbal Commitment here on the Kansas City Sports Network. It's the podcast committed to covering high school football, recruiting across the state of Kansas and throughout the Kansas City metro as well. You've heard it before. I've said it before. From greenbacks to spoofhounds, thunderbirds, firebirds, roosters, hawklets. We'll touch them all in the name of elevating and publicizing our area's growing football talent, whether they're set to become Wildcats, Jayhawks, Tigers, Ichabods, Ravens, Blue Dragons, doesn't matter. We're going to talk about them, so huddle up. And let's start the show. And for yet another week, we have a commitment alert. The alarm and the siren is going off because that means one of our Power 4 local schools has added yet another verbal commitment to their class, this time the class of 2027. And it comes once again in Manhattan. Colin Klein on an absolute heater. And he gets Colton McComb out of Edmond Memorial High School in Oklahoma, a 6'2", 210-pound linebacker. Our KU fans will recognize that last name because, yes, Colton is the younger brother of former Kansas quarterback David McComb, who transferred to Miami of Ohio this past offseason. Younger brother Colton here, I mentioned a linebacker, had offers from OU, Oklahoma State, Kansas, Baylor, among others. When you talk about the top tier, Purdue was in there as well. This is a machine at the inside linebacker position, approaching 200 varsity tackles coming up this fall. But he's a really good athlete. I mentioned, older brother, David in the family. His dad was also a collegiate offensive lineman at the JUCO ranks and then later at North Texas. So you can imagine the athletic genes and the competitive nature that's in that household has helped form both David and now Colton into again, high-level collegiate players. But I think maybe what Colton has that maybe not even Dad or David had is another level of athleticism. You're looking at a linebacker here at his size that ran a sub-11 100-meter dash last spring. And, oh, yeah, by the way, doubles as an offensive running back at Edmond Memorial, averaging close to 6 yards per carry as a tailback last year. So when I was watching some of his tape, kind of catching myself up to speed with him, a lot of Austin Romaine in his game. And I know that's a touchy name right now with K-State fans because Romaine transferred in the offseason to Texas Tech. But again, you go and you watch what Austin Romaine did playing both ways at Hillsboro back in his high school days. And then you transition to the huddle tape at Edmond Memorial of a guy like Colton McComb, and you're going to see a lot of similarities in not only their size, but their makeup as linebackers and their ability to not only stay gap sound between the tackles and be just technically sound tackling machines, but I think their ability and maybe even Colton McComb's ability a level up from that of Austin Romaine in terms of being able to get sideline to sideline and continue working on that coverage. But overall, again, another commitment for Kansas State, their fifth commitment for 2027, the most that they've had this early on since 2024, so 3 cycles ago, and now they're second from the state of Oklahoma as McComb joins Dwayne Jones as Sooners heading north to the Sunflower State. So that'll do it for first down. We move into second down now, and it is yet again our off season, so we're diving into another prospect profile. And this week, I am back on the Sunflower side of the Kansas Metro, and that means I will be out in the Sunflower League with an Olathe West Owl for Coach Weimer's, Braden Shin, a 6'3", 275-pound offensive lineman. This kid was honorable mention All-State last year, second-team All-Sunflower League, a multi-year starter up front, and a 3-sport athlete again at the 6A level. He was the number 1 seeded wrestler this year and a state runner-up this winter at the heavyweight level as well, with 100-plus career wrestling victories under his belt. And he's also part of the defending boys track and field champion at the 6A level and placed 5th last spring in discus. So that's just part of his athletic profile. But then when you flip on the tape of what he can do on Friday nights in the fall, you are going to see a lineman that plays left tackle that will probably slide inside to guard at the next level. And you're going to see a kid that's got mobility and agility. Those are by far his greatest assets. You've even seen in some parts of the tape where they split him out wide on occasion as like a blocking tight end, or even as a receiver out there to clear some space or catch the ball. I haven't seen that since Armand Mimbo. out at Lee Summit North several years ago. You see the pass protection is really coming along. I think the footwork, just that lateral mobility and the ability to get out and make second level blocks. Here he is tossing Lawson McGraw, a K-State signee, into the sideline. I was able to see Braden last year in person, as well as, really falling in love with him on tape last summer. And again, it just continues to validate my thoughts of what he can be as a lineman. Can his strength afford to improve? Yes. I think getting him, again, more weight, maybe being able to play closer to 280 this year would be great for him. And again, continuing to accelerate himself when it comes to his explosion and his power at the point of contact, with maybe playing heavier hands. All those things are things that I think can be diagnosed rather easily in the weight room. Continuing to just be bigger and stronger. Those things are going to come with time for Braden Shen, once he can really dedicate himself to the sport of football, not just wrestling and not just track and field. I think he'll easily be 6'3", 300 once he gets into, again, proper strength and conditioning program, nutrition program. All those things are going to come easy to him. And then the rest are things that you can't teach, with the mobility, with the agility, with the footwork, technically savvy. I love the makeup of this kid. And again, right now, as we record this, 0 offers, which is why, again, I'm steadfast in believing when I look at Braden Shen, I think he's one of the most underrated and under-recruited senior 2B linemen in the Kansas City Metro in the class of 2027. I think that highly of him as an interior lineman at the next level. So again, coaches, we're going to find out who really stays in tune with this show, who really is locked in and maybe flipping on the tape after this episode releases, because I'm hoping, I'm praying, I'm hopeful that Braden Shen gets some football scholarship offers coming his way. Trust me, take my word on it. He is absolutely worth it. Again, 6'3", 275, honorable mention All-State, and a kid that I think is bound to take the next step this fall as a senior at Olathe West. With that, first down is down. Second down is down. That means third down is coming up, and we've got a fun one. Check that out. We are joined by Kent Swanson on the other side of this commercial break, and we are going to ask him what exactly is going on in this photo. Stick around. Kent Swanson joins us on the other side.
I'm BJ Kissel, founder and CEO of KC Sports Network. Emprise Bank has been with us from the beginning. They were our first network partner, and they believed in the vision of what we were building from the start. I can't speak to any other banks or companies and how they operate, but I can tell you from personal experience and based on the growth of the network you're listening to right now, that if you have banking needs, call our friends at Emprise Bank. We've worked with so many great people there over the years, from Vicky and Aggie to Andrea, Lori, Jackie, Deb, and Aaron, and not to mention so many others that not just supported KC Sports Network, but supported our KCSN Foundation as well. But the best thing that I know is that if I have a question or a problem, no matter how dumb the question is, I know who I'm going to call and who I'm going to talk to. And I know that I'm getting an answer from someone that I can trust. And I know that person is there to help us. That's why Emprise Bank has always been and continues to be our partner in Possible. And they can be yours too. You just have to reach out. If you have a banking need, whether it's business or personal, hit me up. I will connect you directly with the same people that have helped us build KCSN. And that's our friends at Emprise Bank.
Welcome back for third down here on the Verbal Commitment on the KCSN network. And we're cross-promoting here because we've got the Labs, the one and only Kent Swanson, joining us ahead of his show. So thanks for taking some time out before you kind of dive into more Chiefs and more draft talk. Thanks for stopping by, Kent.
Man, I'm so excited to be here. I love what you're doing at Verbal Commit. I think it's awesome. So I'm so excited to be here with you guys. I think we did this last year too, so I'm pretty hyped.
A little bit later this year, this time around. So it's kind of fun because we're a little bit closer to coverage.
Yeah.
And speaking of that coverage, folks that were with us in second down before the break already saw this, but you have not. Nick, if you can throw it up, Ken, I need you to explain this photo. So for those out there that might be lost, right? Maybe give your pitch about why the KCSN draft coverage is not only must read, but must watch content.
Yeah, well, you can see me dressed in costumes. No, so this was from day 3 of our 2025 draft coverage, and Josh Briscoe came and hung out with us. And every day, basically Saturday, is just a big fundraiser we use it to honor Therese Paler, and in his memory. So that's what we kind of focus on. And Briscoe did some things to try to, add some stretch goals. And one of the donation marks got me dressed up like a Pokemon, which I still don't know the name of it. So I just called it a platypus with powers. And then another benchmark was running a 3-cone. So I ran a 3-cone at Holiday Distillery in that costume. So that's where day 3 of the draft coverage goes. In between that, we're giving very real takes on players, but we're just dressed up ridiculously and eating bugs and all kind of stuff. So that's what we do on day 3, man. We're just, it's a fun opportunity to us to raise money for Therese and honor his memory and cover our favorite 3 days of the year while we're at it.
And I know obviously that's like the lead up, or that's the culmination of everything, but the lead up to that is the KCSN draft guide. And it's live out there, folks. $12 for over 225 player profiles. You've got the insight, the analysis of all the potential Chiefs targets. We asked you this last year, but again, I love running through this with you again. When does that whole process of creating the draft guide start for you and the team of guys that put that together? And maybe share for the listeners of this show kind of the level of detail that goes into that thing, because it's a beast.
It's a passion project of all of ours, and I mean it starts in September. Maybe even a little bit early August. Start getting some early stacking of some of those players, and once games really start hitting, is when it starts. We're evaluating players for the entirety of the collegiate football season, and the culmination is it's kind of like our own little KCSN scouting department. We've got a group of guys watching tape and putting grades and cross-checking each other. And we're having conversations for 6 months about how the board needs to stack and how we think it should stack. And then we write 225 plus write-ups on all these players and, spit out a top 300 and all that good stuff. So it is a ton of work, but it's a passion project of ours. Like we love scouting players. Like that's just something that's, deeply seated for all of us. So, I love it. I love doing it still. I love the NFL draft. I love this time of year. It's so much fun. The only thing that dwarfs it's the Super Bowl, man. Like this weekend, or the upcoming weekend here, a couple of weeks is great. So I can't wait.
And again, $11.99 for folks that can get that online. For folks that are interested in getting that, what's like the easiest way that you could direct them to purchasing that draft guide? Because we are just like 2 weeks away here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go to gum.co/KCSN26, and that will get you a link to the guide. And it's like 306 pages of Chiefs specific draft content. So if you want to nerd about this draft class and you want to have a fun companion, a content companion for you during the draft weekend, like it can do the job for you.
How fun has this offseason been for you guys with regards to this draft specifically? I would imagine it's kind of a bit of both worlds, because like you said, it's like you're picking early because the season didn't go too hot. But on the other flip side of the coin, it's like you're really getting to target and profile and talk and watch some players that, Chiefs, you guys in your seats have not been, really thinking would fall to you. And now like you're talking top 10 worthy players.
Yeah, it's different to be operating from this top tier pocket of players, right? Especially for this draft. Like, like when you're building a consensus top 300, you still have to scout all the players at the top. So like that's always going to be part of it. But now you can actually picture some of these guys in a Chiefs uniform when that otherwise wasn't the case. And like it's such a unique draft where like I don't think there's I think there's a clear consensus top player for me personally, as far as like, if you're removing some of the positional value, I think there's 3 or 4 really top tier players, I think, in this draft. But how those players stack, like you could see, like we love Ruben Bain around here in Kansas City. You could see one of my favorite players fall into 9 because of the arm length. So it's just a unique draft to kind of evaluate on top of having so much draft capital in Kansas City this year. It's going to be a fun one.
Juwan Taylor to the Falcons today as we record this. Maybe that shakes up how the Chiefs do some things, but you'll have to go and find the recording of the lab and hear Kent's take over there on that. And maybe this does factor into this next question, but like perfect but realistic world scenario, how does the draft board fall for the Chiefs in round 1 for you in your perfect but realistic scenario?
Perfect but realistic is there's 8 teams that don't wanna mess with Ruben Bain at his arm length, and the Chiefs just gobble him up. I think that's what's so unique because, like, I think on tape, I think he's one of the 3 or 4 best players in the class, but on measurables and, what other teams might be needing, like, there's a chance that he legitimately falls there. I am less confident that that is the case today than I was, 2 weeks ago, but I still don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. So, like, I think that's what makes this class in this draft so fun is there's no clear consensus on how the top 10 picks are gonna go. But I think Bain's probably my number 1 with the bullet right now.
Doomsday scenario then. What would Chiefs fans like you be kind of sweating the most? Specifically, like again at number 9, like what would you just loathe to have happen?
Yeah, I think some of the tackle talk, you talk about Jawan Taylor, it's like if they take some of these tackles, like it's gonna be a hard sell for me. Like how much offensive line help do you really need? You've got the top center, one of the top guards, Kingsley Sumatai, he is playing well, and Josh Simmons is playing quality football. Why do you need to invest another high cap, high pick? You don't even need to give me the name. I think it's just the idea of tackle still doesn't sit well for me. So like that's probably one of my worst case scenarios if I'm being honest with you.
You went to East West Shrine Bowl as you do every year. Went to the NFL Combine. Maybe it was somebody at those events. Maybe it was somebody that wasn't at those events that you just enjoyed from the scouting process of it all. But have you sort of like fallen in love with anybody? The Kent Swanson kind of draft darling that maybe caught your eye, and again, maybe at one of those 2 events, he really solidified himself in your eyes as kind of a draft darling that you would like to see maybe the Chiefs take a swing at.
Yeah, I wasn't lucky enough to get to the combine this year, but
That's right.
I did spend some time at the East West Shrine Bowl, and that was a lot of fun. A guy that we didn't get a chance to talk to that he's like a day 3 guy that I just like I absolutely love watching his tape though. And he was at the East West Shrine Bowl. He just didn't get to participate. We just saw him walk around. He was unfortunately in a boot. Red Murdoch, the linebacker out of Buffalo, is some of the most fun tape you're ever going to watch. He is just a madman, and the ball production, he is violent, and he is actively trying to dislodge the football all the time. So he does it too. Like, I mean, I think he led college football in forced fumbles this entire series. Like that's one of those guys that I absolutely love. Another guy that I think like we didn't get a chance to talk to him at the East West Shrine or at anything because he wasn't there, and I don't think we talked to him at the combine. But D'Angelo Pons, the Indiana cornerbacks, played a lot of outside corner at Indiana. If he was 2 inches taller, he's a top 15 lock of a pick. It's just the measurables probably force him to play in the slot, but like ultra competitive kid, really good instincts, super smart, and has the wherewithal to make plays on the football with incredible instincts and awareness. Watching him tackle, his willingness to play, like there's just so much to like about that kid. So I'm a big D'Angelo Pons fan.
Well, you mentioned fun tape. We are Team Fun Tape here. That is hashtag Team Fun Tape. We're always looking for fun tape. And we're also a local show here. And when you talk about local products and Team Fun Tape, I got to see this Team Fun Tape live in person. I didn't even need to see the huddle back in the day. Cassius Howell at Rockhurst was something to be forced to be reckoned with. Obviously, just being part of that COVID cycle really snagged his recruitment, but he ends up where he needed to be at the level he needed to be at A&M. But now there's, you mentioned Ruben Bain, kind of same stuff with Cassius Howell and the arm length. So in your eyes, Cassius Howell, just as an NFL product, like why will he work and why won't he work?
Well, he's going to be the first local kid taken, I think. And there's a chance that he hears his name called in the first round, I think. Tremendous talent. I mean, he has some of Team Fun Tape. He has some of the most unique rushes, I think, in this entire class. And seeing his ability to turn a corner and make a tackle completely whiff on him, like it's special and rare to be able to see somebody do that. So he's got a true speed rusher skill set that, there's not very many people that are as good at it as he is. But there's fatal flaws in his game. So like I mean, the speed rusher piece of it, like I don't know if he'll ever be a down in, down out player, but the upside is like legitimate ability to rush the passer, and that gets him a 10, 12 sack season, right? Like I think that's in the realm of possibility. That's the high end version of him. The holes in his game that might keep him from being selected earlier or might keep him from being able to be a meaningful contributor, really short arms. And I think like the way it shows, it doesn't show up for like a Bane. Like Reuben Bane has really historically short arms. Howell has short arms too, but I think it shows up on tape more for him. His ability to disengage, like I think he can get swallowed up pretty easily against blockers. Like once a blocker gets hands on him, it's pretty much over. So he's really got to be intentional to slip and elude, and he's got to keep himself clean. And if he doesn't, the rep's over. And then like an ability to anchor and hold up at the point of attack, outside of just, hand technique and being able to keep himself clean there. Like, how's he going to be? Does he have enough sand in the pants to really be able to anchor? I think those are big questions for him, but man, fun tape. Just really, it's a challenging profile, and I think I'm curious where he winds up going. But like, if some team wants to take him at the end of first round, I'm not going to be surprised at all.
Paralocal day 2, maybe day 3 guys, 2 guys that I was a little bit on the fence, maybe not from a talent perspective, but maybe would they get to this level? They proved me wrong. We love when they prove us wrong around here too. We like being right, but we also love to be proven wrong. Blue Springs is Bo Stevens and a defensive lineman from North Kansas City, Dom Orange. Who in your eyes has the better career of those two?
Give me Dom Orange. Give me Dom Orange, I think. That Big Citrus, the nickname. I mean, just off vibes alone, like I think that's up there. But no, I think if you're gonna give me those two players, I think I am picking I'm picking Dominic Orange. He's got a pretty unique skill set just because he's a bigger body guy. But I think he wants to play in a gap a little bit more than some other teams. He actually wants to play a little bit more in a gap.
Yeah.
He wants to. I don't know if they all. I don't know if they always want him to, but they don't make guys like him. That size. I mean, he's sitting there 6'2". We have 6'2", 322 pounds. His skill set and his ability, I think there's a lot of upside there still for him. So give me him over Bo Stevens, but like I could see Bo Stevens having he's another guy. Like I think there's some holes in his game as far as like a little bit stiff through the frame, so like his movement skills aren't particularly elite, but I think he's solid. I think he's consistent and reliable, and like that's a 10-12 year guy if things go right for him and he gets put in the right scheme. So yeah, but give me Dom Orange.
Chiefs local pro day was this week. Is there a fit amongst maybe some of those guys that were in Kansas City? I mean, obviously Toriano Pride from Mizzou, Des Purnell from Kansas State, a couple other guys there, obviously, and Emmanuel Henderson. Maybe there's some KU fans that would love to see him for the Chiefs. But for me, the only answer that I will accept is yes, and it's JMG, John Michael Gillenborg.
Yeah, I was really hoping you were going there. I literally was texting someone today. I've been John Michael Gillenborg pilled. What a unique kid, man. Like exceptional movement skills for a guy his size. And like big body, big frame, but legitimately, watching some of his routes, his ability to drop his weight at that size is so impressive. Just, get up the field, drop his weight, be able to make sharp, deliberate breaks. I'm so impressed with him. And, I was watching some of the nuance to him at the top of the route. It's really impressive. I think there's a lot to like about him as a pass catcher. I think you get him in the right scheme, I think some good things can happen. And I think there's a developing skill set to be a good inline blocker too. Like, I don't think the want to's not there. I think technically he still's got to get better and improve. A little bit more strength at the point of attack, but like, man, I'm JMG pilled. Yep. He is so much fun. I know we put a 6th round grade on him. I think he goes a little bit higher personally. I think he winds. This is a really good deep tight end class. I still think I'd take him a little bit higher than that when it's all said and done.
Get you a tight end that can do both, and by that I mean he can be a Wyoming Cowboy, or you can go back to his Rockhurst days when I was taking photos of him with cornrows in his head. Like, it's out there. It's out there.
Okay, we got to add a round. He's bumped up another round for that one.
It's true. It is out there. The evidence is there. Let's get you out with 3 quick hitters here.
Okay.
First off, Fernando Mendoza, are you with or against Dan Orlovsky and his takes?
He's a little bit concerned about Fernando Mendoza. I love Fernando Mendoza. Give me him over Ty Simpson. I think Fernando Mendoza's warrants the first pick because I think he's had an outstanding career at Indiana and did some really good things at Cal too. But you're talking about a guy with the requisite size, the undeniable toughness, won a ton of football games, timing, touch, anticipation. Like I think he's got a lot of those qualities that you really like about him. Like there's Goff with some athleticism to him, and like that. Look, you can say what you want about Jared Goff. He's a top 10-ish, top 12-ish quarterback in football. That's worth the first pick in the draft. That's just is. It is. And you're getting a guy with a little bit more athleticism. Yeah, I'm in on Fernando Mendoza. I'm a big fan.
Okay, the last decade, first round, top 10 running backs. The list is Ashton Genty, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Leonard Fournette, Christian McCaffrey, Zeke Elliott, and Todd Gurley. Jeremiah Love is like where amongst that group when it's all said and done?
Third. Bijan, there was Bijan and Saquon are the only two I think I'd have above him. He's special, man. I'm not going to be stunned where he goes. I know a lot of people are mocking him, to the Titans at 4. Worth it. He's just a tremendous talent. The way he is able to make, he finds 4 extra yards just by falling forward with balance after contact, and it's not always the prettiest play, but it's just like the way he's able to find hidden yards, even out on top of just being a big play, home run hitter, explosive, great vision, great athleticism, ability to catch. There's nothing that you don't like about him. He's so good. Yeah, I think he's like the 3rd best in the last decade.
Last but not least, are you old hate with the Raiders? Are you new hate with the Broncos? And do you know anybody that actually hates the Chargers more than either one of those two?
I hate the Chargers. I think I hate the Chargers in the summer when everyone gasses them up as the AFC West champion every year. And yeah, I'm more new hate with the Broncos right now than the Raiders because the Raiders have just been so bad. Like it's not fun to beat the Raiders right now because it's just so easy. I wanted the Chiefs to lose to the Raiders the last time these two teams played, and Andy Reid did everything he could to make sure they did. So it was kind of great. So
all my Chiefs friends hate the Broncos. All their dads hate the Raiders. That's just how it is. That's just how it goes. Remember, real quick, we'll get you out of here. Streaming schedule for the KCSN Draft Show: Thursday, April 23rd, Friday, April 24th, Saturday, April 25th, and Sunday, April 26th, all at varying times, live on YouTube. Kent, we can't thank you enough. And again, as you said, we encourage folks to tune in every single day because every single day is a little bit different, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Every single pick of the 2026 draft will be covered by KC Sports Network, and we cannot wait. And then we're going to celebrate 5 years the next day. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for for you jumping on with us. We'll get you out here to the lab. Folks, tune into the lab and stick around right here on Verbal Commitment because we've got 4th Down on the other side of this break.
David Starnes Allstate Insurance is a proud partner of KC Sports Network, serving the Kansas City area and all throughout the Midwest. If you are looking for new coverage or something that better suits your home, auto, health, or any of your other insurance needs, give Dave and his team a call. Elevate your coverage and be worry-free with David Starnes Allstate Insurance.
Welcome back. 4th Down here. And again, can't thank Kent Swanson enough for stopping by. And again, folks, you are going to want to tune in for those 4 days of live YouTube coverage from him and the team out at Holiday Distillery. It's going to be a heck of a time. And again, it is well worth the watch and great coverage for you Chiefs fans and fans that are interested in, again, all the local players that could come off the board. Those guys are going to know all the ins and outs. Just as we know them as high school players, those guys are really locked in when it comes to them as not only college players, but NFL prospects as well. So great Chiefs coverage all the time here on KCSN. And speaking of local players, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I thought for 4th Down, it'd be fun for maybe those of you that are already starting to think ahead of 2027, who from the Kansas City area that is currently maybe going to be a junior this year in college or senior or grad student in college, who could maybe hear their names from the local level called early when it comes to the 2027 draft that'll be in Washington, D.C. next year. And you see it right there. I think these three could be the leading candidates to come off the board that maybe we're talking to Kent Swanson about this time next year from a local level. And from left to right, you've got Andrew Sprague, a tackle from Michigan. I'm actually going to jump all the way over to the right side. You've got Caden Green at Missouri. And then right there in the middle, you've got Marcus Neal Jr., a DB that followed Matt Campbell from Iowa State over to Penn State. A really, really talented safety that can do a little bit of everything. I think these are the three guys that I'm most interested in watching, that when you start to plug in some of the way too early draft coverage for 2027, these are the three Kansas City-based kids that were rooted here in high school. Andrew Sprague from Rockhurst, Marcus Neal Jr. from Raytown South, and Caden Green from Lee Summit North that seem to be generating maybe the most early buzz when it comes to maybe guys that could hear their name called early this time next year. I'm really excited for all three of these guys. Look, Sprague has done it from his time at Rockhurst and now at Michigan. He's got, obviously, when you play at a place like Michigan, you're going to have all the spotlight in the world, and he's been doing it for the last 2 years for the Wolverines. So I think he's got a really great shot. Caden Green, again, when you're playing in the SEC, obviously you're going to get a lot of folks watching, especially in a dynamic offense like Eli Drinkowitz and Missouri Bo. So he's obviously got tons of tape that he's going to be able to show to this point. And Marcus Neal, if he goes to Penn State, if he can prove it as a Nittany Lion and back up what his tape showed a year ago in Ames, look out, because the athletic profile of the former Raytown South Cardinal, man, he can just do everything. So really excited for those three guys. I mean, there's a number of other players, obviously, for the locals that tune in here week after week when it comes to Kansas and K-State fans. Obviously, Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards are two local guys that could get into the draft waters here next year. More so Dylan than Avery. I mean, Avery, obviously, I think everybody knows that expiration date is wrapping up for him in Manhattan. With Dylan Edwards, I think he's probably hopeful that he can get to the NFL draft with a good season in Lawrence. Maybe that happens. Maybe he ends up sticking around in Lawrence for another year. We'll see. But when it comes to both those guys, boy, they're going to light it up in the combine. I know that, if and when that time comes this next spring. A couple other names that I wanted to throw out that may or may not start to generate more and more draft buzz from a local level. Williams Winery. Don't be surprised if the Nebraska Cornhusker, now former Lee Summit North teammate of Caden Green's, ends up kind of finding his name generating more buzz. He was a former #1 overall player in the country in his recruiting class. Maybe Michael Boganowski, Junction City. He's entering his junior year at Oklahoma, and maybe the safety puts out, makes enough of a statement for a second year in a row, playing more and more snaps. Who knows? Maybe his name gets thrown into the mix. And maybe a kid like Joe Otting that might only be starting his first full season as a starter. I almost said varsity starter, as a starter at Notre Dame at center. He was really strong in some spot duty last year when some injuries got to Notre Dame up front. Maybe a full season for Joe Otting starting for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Maybe that elevates his draft stock. And then you've got LJ Phillips at Iowa. And I'm curious to see what he does, transferring over as an All-American from South Dakota. Now he gets the rock at Iowa City. What can he make of it? Eli Osick, the place kicker at Iowa. Don't be surprised if he's a special teamer that maybe comes off the board ahead of some other special teamers when it's all said and done in 2027. So again, just a handful of names. I thought, I don't want to get way too ahead of myself, but again, when you start to kind of wrap things up for 2026 and look ahead at 2027, again, Andrew Sprague, Marcus Neal Jr., Caden Green, those are three guys that I think could see their names come off the board very early this time next year, if and when they decide to hit the draft stock or tap into their draft stock and their potential at the NFL level in 2027. So with that, to all the coaches and players, parents and fans, thanks as always for tuning in to another week and showing your support here on Verbal Commitment. And until next time, we'll see you on the trail, and take care.